What we observe with this object is simply astounding. It is absolute madness. All our models and forecasts can be confidently discarded, as they do not work. We expected to see a dull stone that would need to be scrutinized through the most powerful telescopes. And what did we end up with? This object shines as if a powerful spotlight has been turned on it, 6 times brighter than our most optimistic expectations. This discrepancy means we do not understand what we are looking at. Forums are already discussing this motif. It shines much more intensely than anticipated. This is not just surprise, it's an important engineering question. When data does not match theory, the theory must be reconsidered. Or, more interestingly, we may have encountered something entirely new. Imagine this object, 3.5, came from another star system carrying information absent in our solar system. It doesn't just move, it puts on a real show. This green coma, clouds of gas and dust, has already reached the size of Jupiter. Jupiter! Think about the scale. A small core ejects materials, creating structures comparable to a gas giant. This is a colossal release of energy. Now about the numbers. I love numbers. Right now, it is 2 astronomical units away from us, which is 300 million kilometers. At this speed, which is 60 kilometers per second, the distance from Earth to the Moon can be covered in about an hour. An hour. And this is not the limit. By the end of October, when the object passes by the Sun, its speed will reach 600,000 kilometers per hour. None of our planets move like this. It's a completely different physical category. Of course, one might say, Elon, it's simple. The coma has increased and reflects more sunlight. But the problem is that even considering this, the data doesn't match. The brightness increases non-linearly. Something we did not account for is happening. Something inside this object has activated. So, we have an interstellar guest moving at unimaginable speed, breaking all brightness predictions and creating a nebula the size of the largest planet in the system. This is not just a comet. It is a real challenge. It is a mystery that needs to be solved. What is it? An unknown type of comet nucleus? Some exotic chemical composition that reacts so violently to our sun? This is exactly why we engage in space exploration, not to validate outdated textbooks, but to search for anomalies that compel us to rewrite them from scratch. We need to send probes to these objects and study them up close. The universe throws us the most incredible things, and our task is to reach for them. It's damn interesting. For a wide audience unfamiliar with the intricacies of astronomy, the scale of stellar magnitudes may seem abstract, but the observed jump in brightness is truly a significant event. The boundary beyond which an object becomes visible to the naked eye is considered the 6th magnitude. Comet Tri and Atlas by mid-September had already reached the 12th magnitude, making it invisible without medium-sized telescopes. But the main thing lies in the details. The rate of change of this indicator completely defies known traditional models of cometary activity. Yes, indeed. The predicted trajectory of brightness change based on years of observations of other comets has been completely disrupted. Astronomers describe its sharp brightness as a sudden and unpredictable deviation. Simply put, the intensity of the glow increased too rapidly, demonstrating a dynamics not previously observed even in the most active comets in our solar system. What could be the reason for such an astonishing surge of activity? The scientific community is actively discussing various hypotheses. One of them suggests the presence of exotic ice in the core of a comet, composed of rare molecules that can only exist under extreme cold and the sparse conditions of interstellar space. As they approach the sun, these volatile substances begin to sublimate much more actively than ordinary water ice. Another theory suggests a possible structural instability of the core, which begins to break down under gravitational and thermal stresses, releasing a massive amount of material due to spontaneous explosions. The third, most intriguing hypothesis suggests the existence of yet undiscovered physical processes that challenge our fundamental knowledge of such icy bodies. All major observatories in the world have directed their telescopes at this object, focusing all their attention on it. The team of astronomers who identified it for the first time is working around the clock, updating precise coordinates and measuring brightness almost in real time. Amateur astronomers provide immense support by complementing professional data with their observations from various points on the planet at different longitudes, creating a global mosaic of continuous observation of an object. These efforts can be described as intense yet desperate, as opportunities for observations from Earth are about to close. This will inevitably happen, as from the second half of October, the positions of Tri and Atlas relative to the Sun will become critical for earthly observers. The object will plunge into the blinding light of our star, making precise and reliable measurements from the Earth's surface nearly impossible. In other words, the most important and valuable data that could shed light on the current anomaly and explain its nature must be gathered right now. Each remaining night becomes crucial. Every new dimension is invaluable. In this race, time is clearly not on the side of science. We are already sure of one thing: 3. And the Atlas has no analogs among the objects that have ever crossed our cosmic region. Let us remember its predecessors. Oumuamua, which passed through our solar system in 2017, looked like an elongated, dry, rocky fragment, completely devoid of a coma and tail, making it more of an asteroid than a comet. In 2019, Borisov appeared, who became his complete opposite. This comet resembled the classic image, with a distinctly bluish tail and a chemical composition rich in water and carbon, which fully met our expectations. The Atlas, on the contrary, represents a troubling and mysterious combination of characteristics. Its intense green mass, unique in its strength and unpredictable behavior, calls into question all our models. This uniqueness turns every observation into a new, even more complex puzzle. We are not just observing the passage of another icy body. We are confronting the real possibility of the existence of entirely different types of objects in the boundless interstellar space, the nature of which remains a mystery to us. These objects may contain invaluable information about the processes of world formation around other stars. There is an element of cruel irony in this story. At the very moment when 3 and the Atlas reach their peak activity, our ground-based telescopes will be blinded. The Sun, in its brightness, will obscure it from our view, creating an annoying disruption in data transmission. There will be critically little time to try to understand what is really happening, and when the object reappears from behind the solar disk, it will have already passed the point closest to the Sun. Perhaps by then he will completely change. Maybe he will fall apart, or perhaps he will become even more mysterious than before. The green alien is already here. It grows, glows, and defies all our logic. But soon, the Earth will be in blindness. Who will take responsibility for his further observation? The answer to this question will not come from our planet, but from another place, a strategically important point in space. It is here that this thrilling investigation takes on an even more unexpected and intriguing turn. Some independent researchers have begun to propose hypotheses that go far beyond what is discussed in official scientific journals and newspapers. Many of these ideas have been ignored, noticed by few, or immediately labeled as speculative by the scientific community. However, there are records, unpublished studies, and deep reflections that have managed to escape this strict filter. In conclusion, I will definitely tell you where to find this unique material if you are truly ready for it. For now, let's continue. Time for observations from Earth and glass telescopes. The interstellar objects Tri and Atlas are rapidly approaching the Sun, and our instruments are faced with the dazzling light of our star. We risk completely losing control over this important observation. Starting from October 21st, an astronomical event known as the solar conjunction will render the comet completely invisible to any ground observatories. From this moment, obtaining clear spectra and detailed images will become impossible. For science, this means a sudden and complete cessation of data flow at the most critical and interesting moment of the object's activity. But the story does not end there. Once Earth is blinded, another world will take the privileged position for observations. This world is Mars. Due to its unique position in the solar system, the red planet becomes the only accessible point for observation during this period. This is not just a coincidence. A fleet of automatic probes equipped with some of the most advanced scientific instruments ever sent by humanity into space is currently in orbit around Mars, originally intended for detailed study of the atmosphere and surface of the planet. But now, due to an unexpected turn of events, they became the eyes of all humanity, closely watching the mysterious comet. The first spacecraft to take on this important task will be Mars Express, belonging to the European Space Agency. Thanks to its high-resolution stereo camera capable of creating detailed surface maps with a meter resolution and an OMG spectrometer specializing in detecting minerals and complex chemical compounds, this probe will be able to record radiation from the objects Tieri and Atlas even from tens of millions of kilometers away. Next on the list is an orbital device designed to detect gases, also developed by the European Space Agency. Its instruments are calibrated to identify various gases in minute concentrations, down to a few parts per billion. If exotic molecules are indeed escaping from the interstellar core, this device could become the first man-made apparatus capable of accurately identifying them. NASA, for its part, emphasizes the MAVEN device. Although it was originally designed to study the upper rarefied layers of Mars's atmosphere, its ultraviolet spectrograph has a unique ability to capture emissions from gases excited by sunlight. Among them is diatomic carbon, the substance responsible for the bright and mesmerizing green glow of Comet Tri and Atlas. Moreover, the plasma sensors of this device can analyze how solar wind interacts with the material ejected by the comet. This provides valuable information about its electrical and magnetic characteristics. And, of course, we cannot forget the famous Martian Reconnaissance Orbiter, known as MRO, renowned for its HERES camera. It can take images of the surface of Mars with an incredible resolution of 30 centimeters per pixel. If the mission engineers can accurately target the lens at such a fast-moving and distant object, it will capture the first detailed images of the core of an interstellar body. Why is this so important? Because until now, our experience interacting with interstellar objects has been extremely limited and has left more questions than answers. Oumuamua, which appeared in 2017, left behind many mysteries. It could be a fragment of an exoplanet, an unusual comet, or something even stranger beyond our imagination. In 2019, while observing the Borisov comet, scientists obtained more specific data indicating that its characteristics are largely similar to comets from our solar system, but with some unique differences in chemical composition. However, the three main nuclei do not fit into any known categories. Their explosive brightness, intense green coma, and possible presence of so-called anti-tails, structures and dust directed towards the sun rather than away from it, challenge our established notions of comet physics. Acquiring data about this object not only satisfies scientific curiosity, but also provides a unique opportunity to challenge existing theories, significantly expanding our understanding of how small bodies form and behave in star systems that are fundamentally different from ours. This is the essence of science. When reality does not match the created model, it is necessary to change not reality itself, but the model. This may seem distant and abstract, but such discoveries are directly related to our everyday life. Understanding the composition and behavior of interstellar bodies can shed light on how planets form around other stars, how complex organic molecules travel through space, and even how the essential ingredients for the emergence of life may be distributed across various worlds. In other words, each particle recorded by the MAVEN device, or each spectrum analyzed by the trace gas orbiter, is not just dry technical data. This is a small fragment of a vast puzzle that helps answer fundamental questions about our origins and what forms of life may exist in the universe. For those observing this from Earth, it may seem distant, but in reality, it is an attempt to understand the very Earth we live on and the air we breathe. If you have reached this point in the story, it is a clear sign that you possess that innate human curiosity. Use this opportunity to stay informed about all events related to this cosmic mystery. Do not stay on the sidelines, for when it comes to discoveries that can radically change our understanding of the universe, each of us must be involved. While research teams around the world struggle for precious time to observe with Mars probes, one important detail has remained almost unnoticed in official technical reports. Object 3 and Atlas not only increased its brightness 6 times more than expected, but the rate of this change continues to accelerate. This means that even if we account for all possible adjustments in calculations, the actual data continues to diverge further from predictions. With each new night, the object becomes brighter and its coma less stable. It seems that some internal process is giving it activity from within. Are we merely observing unusual yet natural behavior of an interstellar body? Or do the 3 and Atlas hold the key to understanding processes we dare not even comprehend? Probes on Mars can provide crucial data about the chemical composition and structure of this object, but the first spectra obtained revealed signs that divided the scientific community. This rich green color is not just an effect pleasing to the eye. This is an important chemical marker that could potentially change everything we know about interstellar visitors. When we speak of the 3 and Atlas, we encounter not just a captivating astronomical spectacle, but what can be called an epistemological shock, a deep and fundamental shift in our perception of reality. The green luminescence spreading through space today is not just a chemical phenomenon. It is a powerful reminder that the universe does not have to conform to our models, that our scientific knowledge can be fragile and insufficient. Ignoring this interstellar guest means not only missing a unique opportunity for research, but also willfully turning away from an unpleasant yet important truth. The cosmos is full of movement, complexity, and patterns that we do not yet understand. Every night that passes without observations is a page torn from a book that we may never be able to read or reread. What happens when science does not delve into research? The risk is that we may repeat the mistakes of the past. For example, strange radio signals received in the 60s were initially thought to be ordinary interference, but it was later established that they were pulsars, rapidly rotating neutron stars. This phenomenon completely changed contemporary understanding of astrophysics. With object number 3 and Atlas, the story may become even more brutal. We encounter a body that does not fit any known template. It grows, glows, and exhibits abnormal behavior. If we miss this moment, we will lose not only invaluable data, but also the opportunity to rethink the very essence of the universe and possibly the nature of life. The spectra collected so far show that diatomic carbon predominates in the coma, the molecules responsible for its bright green color. However, preliminary analyses also suggest the presence of rare molecules that have not been found in comets of our solar system. If this discovery is confirmed, it will mean that stellar chemistry is much richer, more complex, and more astonishing than we ever dared to imagine. What could this mean on a broader scale? Perhaps life in its most primitive chemical form is not an exception, but rather a rule in the universe. This implies that the fundamental building blocks of life can freely move from star to star, creating conditions for the emergence of new worlds. Even human DNA may hold distant traces of such cosmic travelers, fragments of a creative and restless cosmos, which may possess a consciousness to an extent we cannot yet measure. Nevertheless, there is one aspect that is rarely mentioned in official scientific reports. This information circulates only on specialized forums and in private correspondence between scientists. This is the possibility that the abnormal increase in brightness is not just a solar radiation effect, but evidence of an unstable, almost reactive internal structure, as if object number 3 and Atlas are autonomous and actively reacting to incoming solar radiation. This does not necessarily indicate the presence of a machine or hidden intentions, but raises a troubling and profound question. How confidently can we assert that the universe is merely inert, lifeless matter? What if what we call coincidence is actually a form of action of cosmic consciousness, incomprehensible to us? At this stage, our research inevitably takes a philosophical turn.